What's up, everybody? This is Fred Richani of TSC News right here on MNN. We don't just cover sports and gaming, we occasionally dive into the wild world of comic book culture, and that includes The Walking Dead, which is back on AMC. They recently just celebrated their 100th episode, and we're here to look back at some of our most memorable interviews with Walking Dead alumni. So let's check out our first interview with the man known in Walking Dead as Tomas, aka actor Nick Gomez. This is Fred Richani of the Sports Courier. I am joined today by actor Nick Gomez, star of The Walking Dead. He is starring in the new Sundance Channel original series, The Red Road. Nick Gomez, in very warm California, is nice enough to join us this morning. Nick, thanks so much for your time, my man.
My pleasure. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, Fred.
Oh, man, dude, you guys are so lucky right now in California. I hope you know that.
Yeah, no polar vortex over here, man. It's beautiful. It's another beautiful day, blue skies. You know, it'll probably get up, it's a little chilly. It's like, upper 60s, low 70s. So, I might have to put on a light sweater.
And you've been seeing some beautiful days lately. As I mentioned earlier, you were starring in The Red Road on Sundance Channel. How'd that come about, and what can fans expect on February 27th?
Oh, man, I'm really excited about this show. It's Sundance's, I think, just second scripted show. It's from the guy who wrote Prisoners, the film that came out last year with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Aaron is his name. Aaron, I would butcher his last name if I said it. Aaron something. Anyway, Red Road, really excited about the show. Really great cast. Tom Sizemore is in it, Martin Henderson, Jason Momoa, Lisa Bonet. Starts in February. It's about a small town in New Jersey, actually. There was a documentary made about this story, about this group of Indians that live on a reservation right outside of New York, actually. And nobody knows it. I mean, they're like 20 minutes from downtown Manhattan is this reservation of these Indians. And there's a sort of clash going on between the Indian population and the Caucasian population there, and the sheriff is having to try and make peace with everybody. But great show. The writer, Aaron, is amazing, and lots of really great actors on it. I'm pretty excited about it.
Now, you were on The Walking Dead as Tomas. Some people would say, spoiler alert, that you got killed off way too quickly because your character did show some nice depth and, would have made for an interesting dynamic with Rick. But hey, it's all good. You ended up on The Walking Dead. You also ended up on Dexter last year.
Yeah.
How has your life changed over this last year, especially now with conventions being as big as they are and The Walking Dead craze not going away anytime soon?
It's crazy. I really had no idea the scope of what I was kind of getting involved in. I was a fan of Walking Dead before I did it. So I got the call to do the show. I'm like, I'm going to be on The Walking Dead. I love that show. I do it. It's really, honestly, it was one of the best acting experiences of my life because I was a fan of the show. And on top of that, the character was so much fun to play. And on top of that, all the other actors were so great to work with because it was like being on a winning football team, So everybody was so happy to be doing their job. Best experience of my life. So when I finished the show, I thought, great, what a, awesome thing to be a part of. And then just once the show aired, I had no idea how that would really change my life. How big it was that I was a part of that show. I mean, the doors that opened, the people that I've been able to meet, the work that I've been able to do. It just kind of, because I've been doing this for a while. I've been a professional actor for quite a while, but nothing kind of prepared me for the aftermath of Walking Dead.
Which is pretty awesome. And have you
then to jump right from Walking Dead, which is such a cult show, to Dexter, which is such another cult show, was, pretty awesome. That was my first thing I did out here in LA, and it kind of just fell in my lap.
And what's amazing, too, is, like I said before, the convention scene. You are appearing in a couple months at Horror Hound in Cincinnati, which we'll talk about. But before that, have you had a chance to really experience the awesome convention scene? Obviously, it's a new revenue stream for actors like yourself, but I would imagine it's pretty cool to see fans go up to you and say, Tomas, Tomas.
Yeah, well, they come up to me all the time. They're like, oh, my God, you're Tomas. Oh, my God, I hated you so much. Thank you. I guess that means I was doing my job. But the whole convention thing is pretty wild, man. I really had no idea. The first time I went was in New Orleans. I went to go see Norman Reedus because he was doing one there, and that was the first time I'd ever even been to one, and it was really kind of I don't know, amazing and pretty damn cool. So I saw him doing that, and I was like, I talked to his agent, then we started doing some last year, and they're just fun, man. They're a lot of fun. The fans are so great. Everybody dresses up. Everybody's super cool. It's usually a pretty wild weekend.
And how'd you feel when they told you that you were going to get killed off? Because you were a fan of the show, and you're like, yes, I'm on Walking Dead. This is great. This is a huge break for me. And then it's like, you'll get the script, and a couple episodes later, Tomas doesn't end up so well.
Yeah, well, I didn't really. Well, the thing is, I didn't know the role that I got was different than the role I really was doing, because they're so tight-lipped with the show. So the role that I auditioned for, which I thought I got, didn't actually even exist. That wasn't even an actual role, which I didn't know. So it was kind of weird, because I was very prepared, or I thought I was very prepared when I got to set. I thought it was this. I had these 3 scenes. I worked them. I was so ready to go, and then I got to set. And I met the director and the writer, and they were like, "Hey, Nick, welcome. Glad to have you here. We know you think you know what you're doing, but here's the script. This is what you're really doing." And I was like, "Okay." So I'm reading it, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm Tomas. Okay, sounds like a really good, upstanding, nice young gentleman." So I'm reading, and I'm like, "Oh, damn. Oh God." And I'm reading the script, and then I kill, Big Tiny. Spoiler alert. And I'm like, wow. And then I get to the death scene, and I'm like, damn. Well, but if you're going to go out, why not go out on Walking Dead? And what a better way to go out than like a machete in your head?
And exactly. And you mentioned how being on The Walking Dead, it was kind of like being on a winning team. And you see some guys sometimes when they're role players, a lot of guys end up raising their game, and when they go on to another team, they end up being awesome. After being on that winning team, like say the Chicago Bulls dynasty, Miami Heat dynasty. You're a guy that got to be on The Walking Dead for a couple episodes, got to be around the great cast and crew of AMC. What's one thing you learned from being on The Walking Dead?
That you don't have to be a complete to be the lead in a TV show. That you could actually work and play well with others. Like for a while, I thought that maybe, there's so many just jerks in the industry. And sometimes you feel like, God, you have to be that way to get ahead. Like maybe you just have to be that way. And one thing that was completely cemented for me because of Andrew Lincoln, because it starts with him, was just how good of a person you can be and how humble a person you can be and how well you can work with others to make good work. He was one of the nicest men I've ever met, and so giving as an actor, and it just made everybody else fall into line. And it was just it made it a great place to work. And so now I just approach everything else with love, and it just makes it for a better experience.
And I know you were on only for a couple episodes, but just judging by on Twitter and stuff like that, it really seems like that whole crew is a big family.
Yeah, no, they all, like I said, it's easier, I guess, when you're on a winning football team. Everybody loves winning. So they all love their job. Everybody's down for the cause. There's not a bit of ego. Nobody's a diva there. And I mean, even when they're not on, we'll be doing a scene, and if the camera's just on me, the other actor is giving 110% every single time. And that doesn't happen a lot of the times.
And I don't know if you can reveal the secret at all, if you even know it, but you worked on a show like Dexter. You worked on The Walking Dead. I mean, those shows, were on another level as far as, casting goes. I mean, everybody in their role is just so good. I mean, is there a method to that madness of casting? Is it a luck? Is it a little bit of everything?
I think it's a little bit of everything. And, I mean, with these shows, it's not like theater where you all get together a couple weeks beforehand and you read through the script and you kind of talk about ideas. I mean, when you're on a show like Walking Dead or Dexter, we had a little bit of, a brief, quick little meeting about a few things, but you really, when they cast you, they're trusting that you know what you're doing. Because when you get to set, it's just, it's new stuff happening all the time. You have to think on your feet, and it's just, you have to be ready to go. So they're putting a lot of trust into the people that they cast, that when they get to set, they're going to know how to roll with the punches and figure it out.
And you've been an actor for quite a while now, but I also understand that you've done some stunt work in the past.
Oh yeah, I've done quite a bit. I've been shot and stabbed and run over quite a few times.
Would you say that that's helped prolong your career a bit and open the door for other opportunities when, say, maybe acting isn't always there?
Yeah, well, it prolonged my career is in the, I was able to still pay my rent and continue on my path of being an actor.
Yeah.
That definitely helped.
Yeah. And you did work with The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, on G.I. Joe. What was
Yeah,
that
that's
like?
it too. Well, man, he's awesome. That is a cool, awesome individual, and a big hulking individual, but super nice, super cool. I think he killed me like 4 times in GI Joe 2. I always had like a different turban on or a different thing, so I looked different. But he shot me like I think 5 times.
Nice. And hey, you made movies with The Rock and Triple H, and you lived to tell about it. You also did The
Sure.
Chaperone with Triple H. Triple H doesn't have as much acting experience as The Rock, but he's a great performer himself. What was it like working with him?
Again, super nice guy. I mean, just a really just super nice guy. Was really willing to like listen to other people because he was kind of new to the whole acting thing. So he was really trusting other people to kind of push him in the right direction. And we had a lot of fun, in our scenes together. It was always a lot of fun. He was always down to play.
And with like Netflix too, purchasing House of Cards, right out of the gate, not releasing one episode at a time, but releasing like full series for people to binge watch. Do you see that being the future of
Yeah,
TV?
totally. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like it's going away. It looks like it's just getting bigger. I think Amazon's doing the same thing now. Everybody's creating their own original content. And for somebody like me, I mean, the more the merrier. The more work that's out there, the better for actors like me, because they're going to need us.
We got a few questions the last couple weeks about your background. I interviewed Vincent M Ward, your colleague, aka Oscar
Yeah.
from The Walking Dead, the other day. He had a very interesting story on how he broke into the business. I feel like anybody I interview always has their own unique story. There's not one that's the same. How did you break into acting?
Yeah, it's always just different for everybody because it's such a weird thing to like kind of get involved in and just to make your living at. It started for me pretty young. I grew up in a really small little trailer down a bunch of dirt roads in Arizona, in pretty much the middle of nowhere. There was like nothing out there but dirt roads, my little trailer, and behind us there were these giant mountains. But in between my house and the mountains was this old Western film set that had been abandoned. They built it in like the 50s for like when they were doing Westerns, and it had been abandoned since then. But when I was in 4th grade, Westerns kind of started making a comeback. There was a TV series called Young Riders with Stephen Baldwin and a couple other people. And they did Young Guns 2 out there. And so I was about 4th grade, and I used to go out there anyway just to play around on the old Western film set, but they started filming out there, and I would bike out there after school just to kind of watch, what they were doing. And I hung out there so much, they ended up just like, making me I became the go-to poor Mexican village kid, who didn't have shoes and was just running around. And so I just did I did a ton of Westerns as like the poor Mexican village guy. And I remember the first time I got my first speaking line, it was on Young Guns 2. And the director asked if anybody wanted to say anything. And I was the first one to raise my hand. And I said one word. I said, watch. And that increased my paycheck like 20 times. And I thought, well, this would be a good way to make a living.
Yeah, and it's worked out.
And it kind of just, I just kind of kept at it. And I kept doing it. And as soon as I graduated high school, I moved right to New York and studied a ton of theater and been at it ever since.
That's awesome, man. Now, we really do appreciate the time. Do you have a few minutes left for some fan questions?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. All right. Here's one right here from George. Is the governor really dead?
You never know. I don't know. I mean, you never know with that show. I mean, when I got killed, I was really hoping that I was talking to the producers, and I was like, so maybe what happens if like the machete kind of didn't go right through my brain, but just to the side, and I come back as like a vengeful zombie, or maybe my twin brother, like I have a twin brother that comes back, or like maybe in a dream sequence, because there's always a way to come back in that show. But the producers were like, no, you're dead. So I don't know about the governor. I don't know. Anything can happen.
All right. Vita wants to know, how long does it take for makeup as far as the zombies go?
Man, as extensive as it is, they're pretty good at that. I mean, it's pretty clockwork, but it still takes quite a while. I mean, it's quite a bit of latex, and they're doing so many people. They have like a couple different groups of people. They have the people that are going to be right up front of the camera, and those guys take a good hour, 2 hours. And then they have the people that are a little further away in the back, and they don't require as much makeup. But I mean, they have it down pretty well. And what's amazing is the fact that they're doing that every day with those zombies. I mean, what they're doing every single day, and it looks so real, so real. I mean, like legitimately in that prison, it's dark and it's scary, and then all of a sudden you have these very realistic zombies jumping out. Like, there wasn't a lot of acting required. I was legitimately quite scared.
That's awesome. Now, this person asks, Tomas is in pretty damn good shape. What's your workout regimen like?
Well, I did. I wasn't quite in good shape for like sitting in that room the whole time. I guess, trying to keep Big Tiny off of me from rolling over on top of me while we were sleeping and his snoring ass. Lots of push-ups, I guess. That would pretty much be it.
I guess they're referring to you, too.
Oh, me too? Lots of push-ups and sit-ups. That's all I got time for.
Okay, this is kind of an awkward question, so you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. You have,
Great. Sounds great.
All right, you have very nice hair. Do you use herbal essences?
No. Herbal essences. No. I only wash my hair like once a week, because if I wash it all the time, it gets really poofy, because there's a lot of it up there. I got this shampoo from this hair place. It was called some tea tree oil kind of thing, but I use it very sparingly. I think the trick is to not wash your hair very much. That's my trick.
All right, biggest misconception of actors as far as like maybe how hard or how easy it is to do something in the business?
Well, it's always funny to me when somebody says, "Oh man, I can never be an actor because I just can't memorize all those lines." And I mean, it's funny, but that's just that's just not part of the job that you worry about. That's like saying to like somebody like, "Oh man, I can never be like a heart surgeon," because I just couldn't get those gloves on, those plastic gloves. They seem difficult to get on because it's just so not what is the hard part about being an actor is memorizing lines. It's just persistence. It's persistence, and whoever wants to stick it out the longest.
What's one rookie mistake every actor should avoid?
Trying to do what they think other people want. Like in an audition or for work, the one thing that you never want to do is try to make somebody else happy. Because you have no idea what the casting director or what the director, you have no idea what they want. So really, it's all about you just having your own personal take on it and doing what you find interesting and what you think is funny and what you want to see on screen. And you can't worry about what other people want because you have no idea.
I have right here via Skype. You may recognize him from Hunger Games, Walking Dead, Anchorman 2, and he stars in Need for Speed coming out next month. Forget A-Rod, we got E-Raj, E. Roger Mitchell. Sir, how are you?
What's happening? How y'all doing? Glad to be here. The snow, the ice is melting in Atlanta, so life is good. We did good this time.
Yeah, you guys got hit hard with like not really snow, but ice, last few weeks. How's everything going there?
No, we're doing great. Yesterday was a good day. The sun came out, and we started melting really well. And today it's like, we got some snow on the ground, but we're doing great, man. We're doing great. Yeah.
And you're doing pretty great. I mean, I'm looking at your IMDb, bro, and you got, the last year, Anchorman 2, The Walking Dead, and of course, Hunger Games Catching Fire. I mean, you played for a number of championship teams over this last year. I mean, what has this ride been like for you?
Yeah, 13 was pretty special. I won't lie. I mean, it started out like it always does. And then next thing you know, things just start happening. And I mean, really, when you think back on Hunger Games, you think back on Walking Dead, you think back on Anchorman. Anchorman, I actually did shoot in 2013, but the other two films were shot in 2012. So it's like you kind of turned the corner going into 13. And then you've got things like the Anchorman that came along and like TLC, Crazy Sexy Cool, the Spectacular Now. A lot of those things happened in 2012 also. So it's been like a combination of the 2 years. And then 13 continued to like ascend. So it's been, you kind of put your head down and you just keep running, man. Then if you take a break and look up and you're like, wow, all that happened. And you know it, but you're just kind of trying to work, man. That's what it's all about, trying to stay busy and staying staying sharp, staying visible. And next thing you know, you got all these things that have happened. So it's good to have somebody acknowledge me like you guys. So I appreciate it, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
And we appreciate the time. Now with Hunger Games, I mean, I would imagine it's taken your star to a totally different level. And being on all these big sets, these championship teams, I mean, you're a veteran of the game, but I'd imagine you're still learning things every now and then, right?
Dude, man. I guess we'll just deal with the games. All right, that's the most, man. Francis Lawrence, John Killick, executive producer, and all the wonderful people involved. Of course, Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson, and I mean Jeffrey Wright. You got Lenny Kravitz, you got Woody Harrelson, and all the rest of us that hang out. Stanley Tucci. All that. It's like, wow, man. It really was. I've done a lot. I've been fortunate to be a part, of a lot of things over the years. I will say that, just to have a little piece of the action. But that one really, it was really mind-boggling, and also an honor to be on the team, man. And then actually got a chance to work for a good while on it, which was cool. Whatever you saw, we were there for a while. You know what I'm saying? But I did get some sugar. Happy Valentine's Day, to those who I got some sugar from. So, but that was going in Walking Dead, man. First commercial back in 2010, I think. I was a fan from the beginning, before it aired, and it's like, to be on that show, like I told the producers, it's an honor. This is one of my biggest credits, and then I got the Hunger Games at the same time, sort of, so they kind of overlapped. But still, my Walking Dead, man, it's like, wow. So I'm still learning, still meeting really cool people, and glad to be in the game, man.
There's something you took away, not only as an actor, but perhaps as a filmmaker, that maybe you're going to apply down the road to your projects?
I've learned, be on time, have a good attitude, be ready, know your stuff, do your homework, and also be optimistic and keep a positive attitude, because it's all about the work ethic. I really believe. I think once there's a recognition that there is some talent, I'm going to use that loosely. There's some talent there. Okay, great. We got that part. Yeah, all right. Now we got to find a way to utilize that, and to also be efficient. And the work ethic is probably the most important thing for me, which means be ready, be on time, have a good attitude. There's usually a way to deal with any situation you run into while you're on set. If there's something that you need to get done, or something that's missing, or that's easy. But at the same time, your talent is one thing, but your attitude will take you much further than your talent ever will. And I say that all the time. So I learned, it pretty much reinforced that you got to just, bring something good to the table, brother. If it ain't nothing but a smile, because it's easy to frown. But the smile, you come with it and you deal with it and you endure, Nothing happened to make me go like, wow, what am I doing here, It's about bringing something positive. For me, it's an energy business. Right? That's what I've learned, to continue or to reinforce the fact that your attitude or your work ethic is like foremost. And then you have your talent, and whatever that may be, because that could be a lot of things. But it's about persistence and staying with it and being ready when the call comes, man. That's what it's all about.
Now, I interviewed Nick Gomez of The Walking Dead a couple months back.
Go, Nick.
Tomas, yeah, and he was telling me for a while he had the misconception in Hollywood where it felt like to be a lead man or to be a star, you had to be a bit of a prick. And he said that his mindset changed when he got on The Walking Dead and he saw how Andrew Lincoln treated everybody and made everybody feel welcome. And I guess you were just talking about having a positive outlook on things. What was it like working with Andrew Lincoln in that whole positive environment in AMC?
I'm going to tell you about Andrew, what I know about Andrew Lincoln. A wonderful guy. He's human, of course, so I don't know everything, but he's a wonderful guy. And we worked together, during the lunch break when we were standing in line getting our food. Okay. And he was getting the chicken and I was getting the chicken, and we said, okay, I'll give you the tongs, and we passed back and forth with the tongs. And he was like, basically, I didn't get a chance to work with him on screen, obviously, but we had a good time in the lunch line. And from that time and briefly, I met him a couple of times before then in passing, because when I was shooting, he was off. But we did this really big circling of the wagons, because for the season finale and season 3, basically it was so special, man. They invited us all out to the basketball courtyard area of the prison that you see, that those people we see on the show, and we made this huge circle, man, of probably, I don't know, a couple hundred people or more. That encompassed the entire basketball court and the whole area. It was just amazing. You guys know it when you watch the show. And Andrew led us all in a word of prayer, and he also said, positive words about how he appreciated what was happening in his life. He appreciated The Walking Dead and all the components and all the people that play a part in it. And I just happened to be there for the season finale, thank goodness. And it was really amazing, the charisma, which is one thing, but the composure. And I really believe the sincere gratitude this man has for the blessing that he's had to be, The Walking Dead, but also as an artist, and how he appreciated every single person in that circle. And I'm being modest when I say I think it was at least a couple hundred people that we all joined hands, and it was this big circle. You could really, it was like a basketball court. And I really respect the fact that he's very gracious, and he doesn't take this for granted. And I really got that from him in the brief times that I spoke with him a few times. And I really believe that he appreciates where he is, and his contribution and the contribution of The Walking Dead to his life. So Andrew, for me, all jokes aside, and I've heard stories from other people that I know, friends of mine from the show, like Melissa McBride, Chad Coleman, Melissa Ponzio. These are friends of mine. So to be able to work with them also was an honor. But my man Andrew Lincoln, he's all right with me. He's a good guy, and he doesn't take this for granted, truly. And you can tell, because he does a phenomenal job, man. So